Welcome to Build Your Money Foundation. Conventional advice tells you to obsess over every single dollar. But what if meticulously tracking every penny is actually the behavior keeping you broke? Today, we dismantle the illusion of financial productivity. We begin the cleanout.
What if the reason you have no money left at the end of the month is actually because you were budgeting too hard?
Oh man, that is the big question.
Right. Today, we are doing a deep dive into why tracking every single penny might be the exact behavior that's, keeping you broke.
Yeah.
Welcome to the deep dive. We're tearing into this really brilliant 5-step blueprint for building a rock-solid money foundation. And the entire mission here, like the ultimate goal for you listening right now, is to help you stop guessing where your money goes.
Exactly.
And start telling it exactly where to stay.
It is such a necessary shift in perspective. And, right out of the gate, I think we have to acknowledge the reality of what it actually feels like to deal with money right now.
Oh, completely.
Because if you are out there working 40, 50, or 60 hours a week and you're stressing about inflation at the grocery store and you still come up short at the end of the month.
Yeah, which so many people do.
Right. That is not a lack of effort. That is an incredibly exhausting cycle. And you are trying. The struggle is completely valid. It has absolutely nothing to do with you being lazy or undisciplined.
Honestly, that is just a massive relief to hear, because standard personal finance advice always comes with this heavy, suffocating cloud of guilt.
Oh, always.
It's like you feel like you're constantly sitting in the dentist chair waiting for a lecture about why you haven't been flossing enough.
Yeah, the finger wagging.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this framework takes a completely different angle.
Sure.
It argues that past budgeting efforts haven't failed because of a lack of willpower, but because of a fundamental illusion about what actually builds wealth.
Yes.
And it operates on this 3-phase architecture. So phase 1 is the clean out, phase 2 is the base, and phase 3 is the build.
And before we even get into the clean out, we really have to dismantle that what you just called the illusion of productivity. Because why do we put in so much effort and get literally nowhere? Think about two theoretical people who have the exact same starting income.
Okay.
Person A decides, okay, I'm going to get serious about my money. They download all the generic budgeting apps. They track every single receipt.
The classic approach.
Right. They ruthlessly cut out their morning coffee. They stop buying books. They strip away all these tiny daily joys.
Which is miserable.
It is. They are exhausted, but they feel productive because they are constantly, interacting with their budget.
Yeah.
Yet a year later, they are still financially stressed and haven't built any real wealth.
And then there is person B.
Exactly. Person B ignores the pennies entirely. They do not log a single coffee purchase.
Not one.
Not one. Instead, they focus their energy on 3 specific massive actions. They negotiate their salary, they downsize one major living expense, and they automate their savings so they never even have to look at it.
Wow.
Same starting income as person A, but a year later, they are in a completely different, vastly superior financial reality.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because tracking every single receipt feels incredibly responsible.
It does.
Why does it feel so productive if it actually does nothing?
Yeah.
When I was reading this, it reminded me of, when you have a massive, intimidating project due for work.
Oh, absolutely.
And instead of actually starting the difficult project, I will spend 3 hours meticulously organizing my desk.
Yes.
I'm color-coding my pens. I'm wiping down my keyboard. I'm adjusting my monitor height.
You're very busy.
I'm so busy. I feel like I'm working so hard, but it is literally just busy work to avoid the actual difficult needle-moving task.
That is exactly what is happening in our brains with money. Your brain naturally prefers comfortable, safe tasks over actions that require courage, but, actually drive results.
Right.
Tracking a $3 expense feels safe. You are in control. You're looking at a spreadsheet. You get a quick little dopamine hit of feeling organized.
Yeah, I checked the box.
Exactly. But negotiating a higher salary? That requires confrontation. Moving to a less expensive apartment, that is a massive, disruptive life event.
That's awful.
Right. So our brains will choose color coding the pens every single time to avoid that deep discomfort.
So if tracking pennies is just a psychological safety blanket, then we really have to figure out what actually moves the needle. Where's the bulk of our money actually escaping?
Yeah.
And that brings us to phase 1, which is the clean out. This is entirely about pulling the big levers. Step one of this blueprint is applying the 80-20 rule to your finances. I mean, we all know the basic Pareto principle, right? 80% of results come from 20% of actions.
Sure.
But applying it to a budget is just eye-opening.
It changes everything. It means that your biggest financial leaks are not your daily habits. They are massive structural choices. And the data on this is unavoidable. Housing and transportation account for over 50% of average household spending.
Wait, I'm going to repeat that exact phrasing because it is the core of the whole problem.
Go for it.
Housing and transportation account for over 50% of average household spending.
Yeah.
And there's this incredibly evocative analogy in the source material to explain this. Trying to fix your finances by cutting out your daily coffee is like trying to empty a swimming pool with a spoon while a fire hose is still filling it.
That's the perfect way to visualize it.
Right. You can skip the coffee every single day of the year. But if your rent is too high or your car loan is too large, that one structural decision completely wipes out all of your small daily efforts.
It totally swallows them.
So why does society focus so much on the spoon? Like, why are we always moralizing the coffee instead of looking at the fire hose?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really comes down to visibility and frequency. You make a decision about coffee every day. It's visible. You feel it.
Yeah, I'm tapping my card at the cafe.
Right. But big decisions like signing a 12-month lease or taking on a 5-year car loan happen very rarely. You might only make those choices once every few years. But once you sign that contract, the financial consequences of that one single afternoon echo through every day of your life for years.
Wow.
They dictate your baseline. If you get those big levers wrong, you are fighting a losing battle.
Yeah.
You cannot outbudget a car payment that is eating a quarter of your income. Step one is entirely about fixing the fire hose.
Okay, so let's say someone assesses the big levers. They downsize the apartment, they trade in for a more reasonable car, the massive leaks are plugged.
Good.
But there is a silent killer that is quietly draining the pool anyway.
Oh, yes.
Step two is destroying the subscription track.
Subscriptions are fascinating because they are specifically engineered to be invisible. They're the ultimate set it and forget it expense. And the disconnect between what we think is leaving our accounts and what is actually leaving is staggering.
The data on this is actually wild. Like, lay out the exact numbers for us.
Okay, get ready. The average household believes they spend $86 a month on subscriptions. The real number is $219.
$133 difference. Every single month.
Every month.
Just completely unaccounted for in our mental math.
Exactly. And when you extrapolate that, it is over $2,600 a year.
Oh my gosh.
Over $2,600 a year for things you do not even own. You are just renting access to software and media.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. Why are our brains so uniquely bad at tracking this? Because, look, if a friend asked me to hand them $15 in cash every single month, I would absolutely notice the drain on my wallet.
Of course you would.
But a streaming service pulls it dynamically, and I am completely blind to it.
It's because it exploits human passivity. Think about it. When you buy a physical item or you hand over cash, there is a built-in point of friction.
Yeah, physical exchange.
Right. You have to evaluate the price and make an active, conscious choice to part with the money. Subscriptions remove that friction entirely.
They just take it.
Once you sign up, the default state is for the money to vanish. To stop it, you actually have to expend energy. You know, remembering the password, navigating the labyrinth of cancellation menus.
Oh, the menus are the worst.
Right, and ignoring the, like, are you sure you want to leave us prompts. Companies know that if they make it just slightly annoying to cancel, you will put it off until next month. And then the month after that.
So how do we violently break that passivity? What is the immediate fix for step two?
You force visibility. The directive is straightforward. Open your banking app tonight. Search your transactions for the last 3 months for recurring payments.
Okay.
Take every single monthly charge and multiply it by 12. You have to look at the true annual cost.
Right. So don't look at it as $15. Look at it as $180.
Exactly. And the rule is simple. If you would not go to an ATM right now, withdraw that full annual amount in cash and hand it over for that service today, you cancel it immediately.
I love that. Force the friction back into the equation. All right. So phase one, the clean out is complete. We've tackled the massive 80-20 leaks. We've killed the silent subscriptions, which means there is actually money staying in the account.
Finally.
Right. So now we have to build the architecture for that cash flow. We move to phase two, which is the base.
Yes. You've stopped the bleeding. Now you need a healthy system. Step 3 is implementing the 50-30-20 architecture.
Okay, break that down.
You take your after-tax income and divide it. 50% for absolute needs like rent and groceries, 30% for wants and lifestyle. And the critical 20% goes directly to savings, investing, and debt payoff.
And the absolute golden rule of this step is that you have to pay yourself first. You have to automate that 20% transfer immediately.
Non-negotiable.
But, a lot of advice compares this to hiring your money as an employee.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that really captures the reality of it.
How do you see it?
Automating that 20% isn't just about saving time. It's like putting a physical timed padlock on your refrigerator instead of just relying on your willpower not to eat the cake at midnight.
Oh, that's good.
Because if you wait until the end of the month to save what's left, the month will always find a way to consume it. Something always comes up. But by automating it on day one, you are entirely removing your own flawed, tired human brain from the decision-making process.
That is a much more accurate way to look at it. You are engineering an environment where you cannot fail.
Yeah.
When you pay yourself first, before your landlord, before your utility company, you fundamentally shift the power dynamic of your financial life. The padlock is secured.
Right.
You prioritize your future security over your present consumption, and you do it while your willpower is completely out of the equation.
That mental shift is huge, and it ties directly into step 4, redefining payday. Because even if you have the padlock in place, the psychology of when the money actually arrives can still cause massive anxiety.
Absolutely.
So step 4 introduces the concept of accrued wages, separating the economic value you create from your actual cash flow.
This is a profound shift in how we view our labor, because there are 2 separate timelines running in your life. Timeline 1 is when you do the work and generate the value. Timeline 2 is when corporate payroll actually drops the cash into your account.
I have absolutely lived in the stress of that gap. For years, I let a corporate payroll schedule dictate my mood.
So many of us do.
I would feel completely broke and anxious on Wednesday and suddenly wealthy and secure on Friday, even though my actual economic value hadn't changed overnight. I just finally got the receipt for it.
Right. Tying your financial self-worth to a direct deposit date is just a recipe for chronic stress. Accrued wages are the reality that when you work for 2 weeks, you have created real, tangible economic value.
Yeah.
It is yours. You just haven't been handed the liquidity yet. Step 4 is about modeling your budget based on the value you have actually earned, rather than panicking over the timing of the cash moving.
But let me push back on the mechanics of this, because understanding the concept of accrued wages is great, but knowing I technically earn the money on the 28th doesn't stop my landlord from charging a late fee if my paycheck doesn't hit until the 5th.
Very true.
How does this actually work in practice to reduce anxiety?
It's a great challenge because the concept requires a mechanical application. To practically live on accrued wages, you have to use a portion of that 20% savings bucket we talked about to build a 1-month cash buffer in your checking account. That buffer acts as a shock absorber.
Oh, okay.
Once that single month of expenses is sitting there, the gap between timeline 1 and timeline 2 disappears.
Because you're paying with last month's money.
Exactly. You pay your rent on the 1st using the buffer, and when your paycheck hits on the 5th, it simply refills the shock absorber. The exact date the cash drops completely ceases to matter. You are no longer living paycheck to paycheck. You are living on the value you accrued last month.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
The buffer is what actually decouples the stress from the calendar.
Yes.
So phase 2 is locked in. The base is automated. The buffer is absorbing the shocks. Now we reach the final phase, phase 3. The build.
The exciting part.
Yes. This is where we transition from merely managing what we have to actually expanding what is possible. Step 5 is the income force multiplier.
This step directly attacks the most dangerous trap in personal finance.
Which is?
The obsession with saving. The fundamental mathematical truth is that saving has an absolute ceiling.
Right.
You can never, ever save more than you earn. There is a floor you will hit. But income has no ceiling. The sky is the limit.
So what does this all mean for the listener? Let me be really honest here. Telling people who are already stressed to just increase their income feels a little bit like telling someone to just be taller.
That's fair.
If I am exhausted from working 50 hours a week and I'm doing all this budgeting, I do not have the mental energy to learn coding on the weekends or start a side hustle.
Yeah.
Trying to increase income requires risk, it requires confrontation, it requires putting yourself out there. Isn't it just human nature to prefer the safety of saving pennies over the terrifying risk of chasing dollars?
It is entirely human nature. And what's fascinating here is that your reaction is exactly why so few people build significant wealth.
Really?
Yes. Saving feels incredibly safe because it is entirely within your control. You can turn down the thermostat, you can buy generic brands. It is a closed system.
Right.
Increasing your income requires you to interact with the open market, which is totally unpredictable. But the math overwhelmingly favors the risk taker.
Okay, break the math down for us. Why is the friction worth it?
Because of the compounding impact. Let's say you spend 5 years obsessively clipping coupons, negotiating your internet bill, and denying yourself small joys.
Sounds like person A again.
Exactly. You might cut your expenses by 3%, and it requires daily, exhausting vigilance. Now imagine you spend those same 5 years investing in your specific craft, becoming a better manager, learning a highly specific software, taking on high-visibility projects. You navigate the discomfort of asking for a raise or changing companies, and you secure a 10% income bump. That single uncomfortable conversation raises the entire baseline of your 50, 30, 20 buckets instantly.
Oh, wow.
Your 20% savings bucket gets massively larger automatically without you having to cut a single additional joy out of your life.
Because you are multiplying the foundation, not just scraping the floor.
Exactly. Step 5 is a call to shift your energy. Stop spending 10 hours a week hunting for a $2 discount. Spend those 10 hours becoming absolutely indispensable at what you do.
Love that.
Learn how to negotiate, study your industry. Because if you can increase your income while keeping those phase 1 big levers, your housing and your car locked in place, the gap between what you earn and what you spend explodes. That gap is where true financial freedom lives.
You know, sitting here listening to this whole architecture, the thing I cannot stop thinking about is the accrued wages and the buffer. For my entire adult life, I have let a corporate accounting department tell me when I was allowed to feel secure. Building that shock absorber so the calendar doesn't matter anymore, that feels like an actual superpower. It changes the entire emotional texture of money.
It completely changes everything from panic to strategy. And, this raises an important question to leave everyone with today.
What's that?
We talked heavily about the golden rule of paying yourself first with your 20%.
Right.
But what if you applied that exact same concept of paying yourself first to your time and your skills to execute step 5?
Oh, interesting.
What if you gave the absolute best, most energized hours of your day to your own growth and upskilling before you gave them to your employer or your exhaustion? What would your earning power look like a year from now?
Paying yourself first with your time. That is a phenomenal challenge to walk away with.
I think so too.
But we are not just leaving you with a philosophical thought today. We have a very specific verbal homework assignment directly from the blueprint, and it is beautifully simple. 2 steps.
2 steps.
Step 1. Pick the one leak that bothers you the most right now. Is it your subscriptions, your housing, or your car cost? Pick one and write down the exact monthly number on a piece of paper.
And then step 2. Decide on one action you will take this week to reduce it, not next month, this week.
Just one single action. Cancel a service, look up lease break terms, schedule a call. Small moves done consistently are what actually change the trajectory of your financial life.
Absolutely.
There is no guilt about where you are starting, only strategy for where you are going. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Go tackle that homework, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Build Your Money Foundation. Stop wasting mental energy on micro expenses and start focusing on the massive structural levers that actually build security. True foundation is built on deliberate action, not on micromanagement. Reclaim your bandwidth. Govern what you can. Subscribe to Steady Your Mind and Build Your Foundation.